Hello friends, welcome to my channel, Mentorship by Aman Bora, where I'll be giving you insights into some complex topics. The topic of today is internal audit. Now, many of you, when you are starting your career or after you have completed your chartered accountancy, or even during internship, you have heard about fields such as statutory audit, taxation, but most of you might have heard about internal audit, but are not much familiar about what it is or what it requires, or whether it is a good career choice, or is it something you can feel excited about. So in this video, I will try to explain to you in a very simple term, what is internal audit? How is it different from statutory audit? What are the key outputs and areas of focus? You would have read about it in your audit subject when you prepared for your exams, but simply put, my focus here is to give practical, crisp insights on this topic. So without further ado, let's get into it. What is internal audit? Imagine internal audit to be an independent checkup for a company where we examine how things are running inside the organization. Imagine there is a doctor who is checking you and giving you a report of how your heart, liver, kidneys are working. That is an internal audit. It examines not just the financial information, but also the operations and help the management of the company strengthen control over the areas of risk and improve efficiency. Like when the doctor says that you have a fatty liver, you take steps to correct it and improve your overall health and well-being. Now, most people get confused between what is statutory audit, what is internal audit. I will not give the formal definitions, but try to explain with example. While the statutory audit focuses on the financial reporting accuracy and completeness, the internal audit focuses on operational things beyond, but obviously including the financial reporting. So it is statutory audit plus something more. Let's take an example. Now, if you purchase a machine for say 100,000, the statutory audit will focus on whether that machine is appropriately recorded in books in our fixed assets at the correct rate. The internal audit will, however, focus on the other aspects as to say whether the machine was actually needed, who approved the acquisition, was the machine purchased meeting the specified requirements, was it purchased at the correct rate at the cheapest rate, and whether the terms of purchase aligned with what we have intended in the purchase order. So these operational aspects, they are covered in internal audit. And while both can be independent of the organization, so you can have an external organization performing both, the internal audit work for the management of the company, whereas a statutory audit is independent of the management. So just taking that doctor's example, if a doctor is checking you and giving a report to you to see and improve yourself, imagine it to be an internal audit. And if say there is a doctor who is evaluating you but giving the diagnosis of your health to someone outside, like what happens when you enroll in the army, that is statutory audit. It is why it is also called as an external audit. Now, for the internal audit, you might want to know what is the end output. The internal auditors, they usually present an audit report to the management. And after obtaining the comments from the process owners and the management, the report is then presented to the audit committee. You might have heard about the term audit committee. They are the ones who are comprised typically of the company's directors, chief executives, the chief risk officer, of course, is there, plus some independent directors. They look at what risks or issues are going on in the organization, what management is doing to correct it, and ensure there is transparency and accountability within the organization. Moving on, in terms of the key sections of an audit report, you might want to know about what is disclosed, how do we prepare these reports, and what it entails. So a report typically contains a brief synopsis of the issues we are facing in a crisp one-liner. You should be able to impactfully explain the issue in one line. The next is the observation section, which gives a complete summary of the observation noted, but again in a very crisp and impactful manner. It can't be in pages. It has to be very crisp and impactful. The next thing which a good audit report contains is a root cause. This is where we mention what caused the issue. Here, I like to follow the concept of 5 whys in determining what led to the issue or risk. It means asking questions up to 5 levels to see what is the real cause. Next come in the risk. So the risk is the realized or the potential impact of the issue. Some audit reports also carry a high, medium, low risk rating. The rating criteria is predefined with the management. Like, to give you an example, it can be agreed that any issue with the financial loss of, say, more than $1 million can be agreed to be a high risk, or any legal non-compliance which has the risk of imprisonment will be deemed as a high risk observation. Next comes the recommendation. What is the auditor's recommendation to remediate or fix the issue? It can be change in a policy, change in how you uh, uh, process. It can be a change in system. So that comes under the recommendation section. The next important inclusion is the management comment. What is the management's plan of action to address the issue? Then you might also have an annexure slide, which are just the tables, images, or calculations, further detailing and explaining the observation. Now, typically, the audit reports should have an executive summary section. This section includes like the number of observations, various categories, some of the high-risk issues, and the next steps. This is usually handy for executives to see the immediate areas of risk and performance of a typical process. I might ask that what should be the focus of internal audit? The focus can be on a few things. However, if from personal experience I give a list, I would typically focus on identifying the following 4 areas. The first one being fraud. So any observation which lists out a fraud conducted, for example, you note that there are purchases done from a dummy vendor, or the sales are inflated at month end to gain commissions, that would fall into this category. And this would immediately be a high risk observation. Next comes the legal non-compliance. So any issue which results in a non-compliance with established law, which has a penal or an imprisonment penalty, again would be on the scale of severity pretty high. The next one I typically focus on is the revenue leakage or cost savings. Here, you will have a tangible cost or impact or dollar value impact. So any lapse in process or by people or in control due to which there is a revenue leakage or cost overrun. To give you an example, say you are auditing the hospital's billing system and you note that the pricing model is not updated correctly, resulting in loss of potential revenue. So while you should have charged an X amount, you have been charging less for that, which gives you the revenue leakage. Lastly, any absence of a defined process or non-adherence to a policy or procedure, any transaction, say for example, which was entered without adhering to company's policy. For example, company might require 3 quotations for any purchase. However, the purchase was made without obtaining these 3 quotations. So that is a typical example of non-adherence to a policy. Now, coming to the best part of the video, what makes internal audit exciting? For me, internal audit is a great place to start and have a career. You will just not understand the financial aspects only, but you would actually know how companies operate, how the production happens, how the inventory is managed, how sales are managed, how the marketing works, how the procurement and logistics work. It is beyond financial processes. So within a few years, you will get knowledge about multiple areas, industries, sectors. For example, I was able to gain knowledge about multiple sectors like real estate, information technology, pharma, healthcare, FMCG, oil and gas, aviation, and that too for clients across the globe. You will also have an opportunity to interact with the entire executive class of an organization. The head of procurement, the sales head, marketing head, production head, chief risk officer, of course, chief investment officer, and the list grows. And with this diverse knowledge gained, you can choose any future career path because you will have a very good understanding of what happens in different areas and what excites you. And last but not the least, it gives you the opportunity to travel. It was a gateway for me to explore the world on audit engagements and see some great cultures and meet some great people. And with that, we come to an end of this session. Hopefully you found it useful. And if you want me to break down complex topics into clear, practical insights with a focus on real-world application, and you expect guidance on topics such as internal audits, controls, business processes, and how to streamline those, running projects effectively, asking the right questions, ESG and climate reporting, and the insurance fundamentals, and much more. Simply put, if you are looking to understand these complex topics in a practical, relatable way, you are in the right place. Subscribe and start your journey towards clarity today. Thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.